special call town council meeting, October the 2nd, 2024, 7 o'clock p.m. All righty. How are you? Good. Oh, yeah. You can turn around so they know who you are. Call to order the council meeting, specially called council meeting for October the 2nd, 2024. This is a Wednesday evening. It is a special meeting to discuss primarily one supplier. Anyway, we'll begin with the, as usual, with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jim Rigsby's going to do our invocation for us.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, during this time where our brothers and sisters to our west are struggling and worrying about their next meal and their next breath, please give us the strength to keep them and support them in our prayers, and give us the strength to work toward the good of Stokesdale as well. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Review and adopt the agenda.
I'll move to adopt the agenda as stated.
We have a second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Mr. Rigsby?
Aye.
Mr. Foy?
Aye.
Mr. Landry? Mr. Jones is not with us this evening, but I am I. Do we have any public comments from the floor? Anyone like to speak to this point or any other? We'll move on to number 4, it's discussion of the athletic field lighting project at Stokesdale Town Hall. Mr. Foy?
All right, just kind of a backstory here. Roughly a year ago, the Town Park Improvement Committee met with some folks, some directors of the youth soccer program here, talking about a couple of projects that we were potentially interested in doing at the soccer fields. One was fencing that field, and the other, was at their suggestion, was potentially adding lights to that field. The soccer program has grown to over 300 kids in the area. Of course, with the fall season going on right now and ending in the first week of November, and then the spring season starting in late February and going to May, they have a challenge of there's not enough daylight. The daylight doesn't, in those times of the months, just doesn't mirror what it is in the summer. So they're having to go, they're struggling to find field space for more so practice than games. They're actually renting fields at Summerfield, partly, and they use the lights that Summerfield has. I think that's a shame that the Stokesdale Parks and Rec Youth Organization has to look outside of Stokesdale to support the youth that live in our area. So discussions began, what would it take to light the field? To add lights to the field. If you rewind a little bit beyond that, the town received a $725,000 grant from the federal government that has since reverted to the general fund, and that has been used, about half of it, roughly half, a little more than half, has been used getting new basketball, pickleball courts, and playground equipment, of course. So there is still funds there. And then after we started having those discussions about adding lights to the town soccer field here, we were able to get a grant from the General Assembly, the state of North Carolina, for $175,000 for that permitted purpose. So, we got a little money to apply to this, but we're trying to be as cautious as we can with how we're going to spend that money. We did have engineered plans drawn up by Mr. Chad Lackey of Greensboro Engineering.
That's
And so all potential vendors bidded to this set of plans. We actually put out the proposals, request for proposals, I want to say in May?
That's right.
May
was the first
timeframe, and we really struggled to get them back, but I would say by Labor Day, we were fortunate enough to have five potential vendors submit bids. So with that, I'd like to go over, without naming names of the companies yet, just what the bids came in as. And I'm including the cost of the wooden poles that one vendor submitted just by himself, because not all vendors are able to put in the poles. So proposal A, which was our most expensive bid, came in at $429,943. Proposal B, $419,943. Proposal C, $352,543. Proposal D, $322,378. And Proposal E, $302,471. We do have the owner and president of the company from Proposal E. That company is Ronaldo Electric. A couple weeks ago, we had a meeting with the owner, Mr. Ron Overby. Welcome. And just a great meeting, and he shared some thoughts, and I think I'd like for all of council to hear, some of the suggestions that he had. He's since submitted some subsequent proposals for us to consider, and that would be Proposal E1, E2, E3, and E4 that you see in front of you. So we do have options in front of us. Mr. Overby, for you, just a little history about Stokesdale. We were incorporated 35 years ago, back in 1989. We have a tick over 6,000 people or so living in our town. It's a great place to live. We love it here. We have a great town park, as you can see, that's gotten a lot of use. And I would imagine we have the smallest budget you'll find for a general fund of any municipality. We actually do not charge a property tax and are the largest municipality in the state that does not do so. So, the funds go in a lot of different directions, and we have to be very deliberate how we spend money and ensure that our citizens get the greatest value from the money that we spent. So I'm personally very excited about this project. I'd like to welcome you and invite you to please sit up there so we can pick you up in the microphone and make yourself at home. I know this may seem like a formal setting, but it's not.
That'll work.
Ron, if you would, identify yourself and your company, please.
Yes, sir. I'm Ronald Overby with Ronaldo Electric Company. I've been in business since 1981, incorporated 1982. And I started out as a very young man there, and I've gotten old.
Beats the alternative, brother.
There is no other way. I have my company, as far as it goes, we've never done residential wiring. A little bit. I shouldn't say never. Mostly industrial, mostly utility, do both. Work for Duke Energy on their, which used to be their coal sites, which now most of them are being converted over. Worked on solar farms for them. Let's see, done many sports lighting projects. I think I gave Robbie a reference of how many that I can even remember in the past. Lighting has changed, so we've gone from HID to LED, which is a good thing. Saves the power. I got about I don't count employees. I have about 20 of them right at this moment. I used to, as I was telling, I think it was T or he,
There,
the fellow up there that I used to have about 25 to 30, and I about pulled my hair out. You can see how I did. So I kind of keep it manageable. We have directional drills. We have bucket trucks. We have 105-foot bucket trucks down to 30-foot bucket trucks. We have digger derricks. just everything we need to set poles, and in fact, tomorrow I will be headed to Marion to help a facility up there get their power back up. But that's gonna be a while. That's only partial restore till they get acres of trees down and cleared. So that's my story in a nutshell.
That's great, Ron. We're glad you're here. And welcome. So just take us from your perspective when you saw the request for bid and all that. I think, you know, which struck me out to, I guess what drove me to have a follow-up conversation with you. One, you were the most economical. But two, you put in there, you had some recommendations. Say, I have some recommendations on, you know, how to potentially save you some money and all that. So that was interesting to me. Also, what was interesting to me was, I understand we put out the bid requesting wooden poles. That was an economical decision, of course. But you had some concerns with wooden poles, and in fact, you added $15,000 to your bid, which still came in the lowest, but you added $15,000 because we were using wooden poles. So could you explain why that $15,000 was there, and just your thoughts in general on wooden poles? Are they commonly used for a project like this, or, you know?
Wooden poles, they're wood. So if you take a salt treated pole, comes fresh out of the kiln from Koppers Industries out of Leland, North Carolina, it's going to come in soaking wet and green. It's going to arrive here to your site, and it's going to be drilled, and it's going to be put in the air. So once it's put in the air, after it starts to dry, the bolts start to loosen. The pole tends to shrink just a little bit, and that's what causes the loosen. They just start drying out, and even though they've been through this process, the next thing is they're going to start turning with the grain. As far as they start drying out, they'll start turning with the grain. And the problem that I had with the poles, number one, was the engineer had requested 65-foot class 3 poles. And on some of those poles, we had 9 fixtures on them with a weight of 80, just say 82 pounds per fixture. So that's 9 times 8. Plus you'd have probably 100 to 125 pound cross arms, steel cross arms on them, that the engineer never did get back with us to give a specified design for that cross arm. So I'm taking this as a guess because I would get the beefiest one that I could get, which is probably a 1/2 inch steel angle iron, which I think would be accommodating. But as that pole sits up there with 1,000 pounds on it, and these fixtures, they sit like this, and they're out front. So all your weight is kind of leaning toward the front. So as that happens, as the pole starts drying out, then you start getting the top of the pole start doing this thing. So in other words, that's why I put in there for the additional $15,000, because I know that I'll be back out here re-aiming those things for at least 3 years, probably 4, until they actually dry out.
Okay.
I've gone back on many utility projects where we use Duke Energy specified parts and pieces and the newer technologies of how to do things. And as the poles dry out, we call them spring nuts, which is a nut about that long, and it's got about 4 helixes in it. You put those on there, and that's what they use now due to the shrinkage. You tighten them down, and as they start shrinking, those helixes taking up the space. Yet, on the opposite side, on the flip side of that, we're only putting a wood cross arm up or a fiberglass cross arm up that doesn't weigh but probably 60 pounds. And it's not holding up this type of weight. So usually we don't have a whole lot of problems out of any of those things in the utility business, let's put it that way.
So when you've done other similar park projects like this, or say a train station, do you use wooden poles
No,
now?
sir. No,
Okay.
sir. I try to talk anybody out of using wood poles. If you look on YouTube, and you guys may be here, Robbie may be here the longest, I'm gonna assume, in 10 or 15 years. If we do have another storm come through, our steel pole, number one, our steel poles are engineered for, I think it's 100 miles an hour. And in that 100 miles an hour, it could be 90. I think it's 100 though. We add a 30% gust factor into a steel pole. So they're engineered for this wind. A wooden pole is not engineered for any kind of wind. So if you have the storm that we had a week or so ago, like, you know, if it had hit here, you forget about those lights even being up there probably.
I've seen many videos on
Yeah, you look
pictures
on YouTube. and
where
it's
snap like a
It's a
toothpick.
liability.
yeah.
Every town. Now, I do know, I will tell you this, also, Little League and American National League will not allow you to put wood poles up on any field. They will not. I mean, even if you got a grant, they will not allow you. They won't even pay you for them if you got a grant.
Wow. If I could draw council's eye to this one-page sheet here, Mr. Overby on proposal E1, if you look at the comparison of E1 to proposal E, that $311,000 would include steel poles instead of the wooden poles. So when you look at his more detailed bid, if you look at steel poles instead, that cost an extra $32,918 between the steel poles and the foundation. But we would get rid of $9,282 for the cost of the wood poles, and then the $15,000 for the cost of re-aiming. So, and apples to apples comparison there, even including steel poles, Ronaldo Electric has come in at $311,107 versus the next lowest vendor, which was $322,000. So we're still $11,000 less with steel poles as sent out for bid. Now we have a few lighting options I'd like to learn more about. One, what was spec'd in was a brand called Empower-On. And we discussed that, the pluses, the minuses, and you offered in your experience that you're very familiar with Musco lighting, which I think is very common in the sports lighting arena, and then also Geosports. While being a little more expensive, there's some differences in the warranty.
Yes, sir.
Would you mind sharing
Yeah,
a little bit about that?
I can tell you right off the top of my head what I think is true. Empower-On, I know nothing about this company. I've never used their product. I think their warranty is 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, and that's all it covers is the fixture itself. Geosports is, and I'm basing this off a stick build purchase off the shelf price. So if Empower-On's 5 years, Geosports is 10 years, and Musco only has a 25-year.
Okay.
But Musco only they don't offer a stick-built product.
Okay.
Theirs is manufactured and sent.
So on their sheet here is proposal E2 is the Musco lighting system, which is pre-manufactured, not stick-built. I have that as $470,000, and that includes an add-on of a, let's see, I can't follow the line here. An add-on, a pit pad for Duke Transform. But that's the $470,000, and I think if the decision was made by sometime in mid to late October, there would be a deduction in that price from the manufacturer
Yeah,
of, is that a 15,000? I didn't note that here.
correct.
That's right, that's right.
So that would be 455-ish.
Does the 465 include the steel pole?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I see you don't have it noted separately, but, all right.
Yes, sir.
Entire system.
And that is a 25-year warranty. So what all is covered in that warranty, the 25-year warranty with Musco?
In their warranty, have you got a copy of it? I printed it all.
That's fine.
Musco has a pretty good warranty because their system has a built-in communications back to them, and so pretty much it's a if we were chosen or whoever's chosen, it doesn't matter to me. I'm just trying to help you guys out. Is that if once you start the system up, you'll contact Musco through a 1-800 number. They'll say, "Oh, you're at such and such place. You're such and such order. Let's see what it looks like." And so they'll go through the system and they will verify that you have the correct lighting output through their Musco contactor system
Okay.
that's talking to them back and forth. They're looking at it on the computer, just plain as day. And so once their 25-year warranty will cover pretty much any structural and defects, any lighting issues, if they go out. I will tell you that through the past that in Musco's warranty, they will not come out unless you have at least 10% of your lights are out. And that's pretty much true with about any manufacturer. You can lose about 10% of your lights. So if you have 100 lights, you lose 10 of them, is that right? Mm-hmm. Then they'll finally show up.
Yeah.
So, so if you have one light out, they'll, out of how many ever they come up with, and they have a very long,
Life?
well, I will say that as I'm still talking about as far as the warranty, their warranty is top notch. They've got 140,000 contractors across the United States, employee-owned people across the United States that will come out and service the fixtures and the drivers. They have another 130,000 subcontractors that will come and do it also. And it all gets billed back to, if Musco does it, it's on their dime. If it's a subcontractor or a contractor of theirs, it goes back and Musco pays the bill.
Okay.
The warranty, surely it doesn't cover bulb life or,
Well, these are LEDs, and so as far as LEDs and their drivers, it will cover those parts.
okay,
Even when we had HIDs, which were the big round bulbs, they covered the ballast and the lamps
okay.
in 25 years.
I'm going to put you on the spot here. In a hypothetical, let's say we had 10 lights go out, and let's say they're Musco, but that we were out of warranty. How much would it cost a company like yours to come out here and get up there, to replace 10 lights? Just a ballpark figure. Are we looking at 1,000? Are we looking at 10,000?
We had installed, I think we installed 48. It's called Ephesus. Ephesus was bought out by Lithonia. Could be lying to you. I think they were bought out by Lithonia. We had a 10-year warranty on those fixtures. We pulled 48 fixtures down, sent them everyone back. They just had one little small problem with them. So we pulled them all down, sent them all back. They sent us brand new ones. Well, they sent us new ones beforehand. They knew how many we needed. We sent the old ones back. And so that didn't cost anything. They paid for shipping and freight and all that. It did cost the corporation, because it was out of warranty, it did not have a 25-year warranty, but it did cost the company, not us, but the company itself, I think it was right around $20,000 to switch out all those fixtures.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps at all, but these poles here, as far as what you have, if we come from Rural Hall just to come out here and service them, I would think you would probably get away with, if you had one, it depends on if it's a driver or an LED part, probably $1,200 a fixture.
Okay.
Is it possible to extend the warranty during that 25 years?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think in 25 years, they'll be ready to come down and something new to come up and go up there anyhow. In my opinion.
Do you have a question?
So I have a question. I'm familiar with Musco lighting. That's what I know Northwest Guilford has, Grimsley has. It's where you can control the lights, you can make them flash, you can make them dim, but you can make them dance if you want to. Kind of annoying in my opinion, because you're sitting out there and you're about to go into seizure, and you're watching you're watching your team trying to kick the extra point, and they're still celebrating the touchdown. The lights are still off, but so we would we? I don't think we would need anything that elaborate.
These are not, sir. These are all just these are just white.
Okay.
The other, what you're speaking of, is similar to what Wake Forest just had put in. We'd done the whole stadium for Wake Forest University with Lithonia fixtures when it was redone 15 years ago, maybe. And so they took all those fixtures out, and then they put Musco in. They went back with that. They flew them in with helicopters and put them on poles.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it, but I'm glad I wasn't the one doing it.
Right.
But those are what's called RGBW, red, green, blue, white. And those are set up through a network system that goes back to a computer and somebody that has downloaded music and got the music on, and hey, we made a goal and all this other stuff. But these are just plain old white lights.
Would we have the ability, for really any of them is my question, would we have the ability to control them on a timer, an app, remotely? My thought is let's say the soccer people, or let's say somebody rents the lights from 6 to 7 to keep us from having to come up here. We can just set them to come on at 6, go off at 7.
Both GeoSports and Musco, you will have the ability to turn those off and on either by computer or by phone.
Excellent.
That's big. Yeah.
I'm ready to make a motion.
No, well,
Tim?
let's
I
wait
know,
till
I
next.
know.
I hear you, buddy. So walk us through the process. Say, we go under contract and it's time for the work to start. What will things look like out in the park? Like, can you kind of walk me through? I mean, I know you'll be doing boring under the field, but just kind of,
The first thing that we would do would be install the poles. With both, first of all, get the permits, number one. And first thing we'd do with probably either one of the projects. Depends on delivery times. If we got time to go ahead and start boring, we know where our points are for every pole, then we'll go ahead and knock that out. But if not, we'll go ahead and get the poles. Much difference between the two, Musco has a concrete base that you go ahead and put in the ground. You go ahead and cement it in. You leave so much, I think it's about 18 to 24 inches of open space between the finished grade and below. And that's where your conduits will go into. So those can be put in, and they will come probably about 3 to 4 weeks ahead of time. So they want you to have those set at least in concrete in 30 days. And typically that's an engineering spec. 7 is minimum for anything. 30 is, should be at full strength, 3,000 PSI. Musco is that way, so you have a concrete base to put in. The rest of it is just as far as Musco's lighting system, it comes in a covered tractor trailer, and it's already green in color. So basically you just take care of it as you're unloading it, and then you just put point A to point B, plug them up, put them together, set them down, and each one of the poles themselves will have a laser on them. So we need to find the center of the fields. You have 2 sideways and 1 long ways. So we just got to find the center of Musco's design and put the laser on that. And they're pre-aimed, pre-wired all the way down to the base where the driver box will be, and that's where the power will come in and connect to.
Okay.
Does that help any?
It does. So in my mind, I'm thinking 3 weeks before that starts, you would come out and do the polls. Or
At
the-
least
the
3 to
poll.
4 weeks ahead of time. When they show up, they will know, once we place the order, they'll know it. They will notify us when we're going to get the shipment.
Okay. And I would imagine that's similar to the Geo Sports, the non-stick built, that it would be very
Yeah,
similar.
now the Geosports they do not have a concrete base. There's direct steel, direct buried steel. They have a encapsulant on the bottom of them, just like you would see if you're driving down toward the Outer Banks. You see the black part sticking up yay far above the water line. So that's to keep them from rusting. And so we dig the hole, and when we dig the hole, we just watch the weather. We close the field off, make sure that people are not trying to get on the field. And we will go ahead and set the poles with everything on. And next day, we're gonna come back and we're gonna pour those. Now, you gotta remember that some of these are 70 and 80 feet tall, and they're gonna be in the ground 15, 20 feet, roughly. Or, well, not 20 feet, 17 to 15 feet, 15, 17 feet. So they'll be in the ground that far. They're not going anywhere. And what we do is we put wedge blocks around the pole so it stays. They're not going anywhere. And that's how we've done them for years.
Okay.
Next day we'll pour them, get them everyone poured, and we pour them with 3,000 PSI, and we'll pour them in a 4-inch slump. It's fairly dry, and then we just have the concrete vibrator go down, makes everything settle. And we do that for both Musco and the Geosports and the stick built. So stick built's the same way, still have the same type of pole, steel pole, direct burial. Difference between the Musco and the Geosports with the 25-year warranty on it, has the 25-year warranty on it. It comes from the manufacturer already pre-wired, pre-aimed. Everything is plug and play, put it together, and it goes in the ground. The only difference is that pole will be galvanized steel all the way to the top. Unless you specify a color, which is an adder.
Okay. Now, what is the Geosports? The Musco is the galvanized steel.
No, Musco is green.
Okay.
And you'll see about 2 feet at the bottom of a concrete base.
Okay.
And then if you switch over to Geosports, it will be solid galvanized steel pole all the way to the top, cross arms, everything will be galvanized steel.
Now, there's two options for Geosports, one is stick built.
Both of them are the same. As far as the pole, the galvanized steel all the way up.
Okay. Now, there's quite a difference in the price between the two.
Yes, that's correct.
So the 410 for one of the Geosports and roughly 348 for the other.
Yeah.
Is the difference, the only difference in those really just the difference in the warranty?
No, warranty does have a little bit to play in that.
Okay.
And the difference is, and we are relating the stick built to a 25-year warranty, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so the stick built, when it comes in, I'm buying the fixtures.
So which one is more expensive? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got you. So
The 25-year is more expensive.
that's right, that's right.
Okay, and that is the stick built?
No, sir.
Okay, that's one.
No, sir. 25-year is just like, is basically your equal to Musco.
That's right, Geosports version of Musco.
Okay.
Use that analogy,
So-
but it's the same thing.
E3 says steel poles and E4 says steel poles. So which ones?
Yeah.
That's what they're referring to. That's
I did this, so I could have done this
Okay.
wrong. I just wanted
Okay.
a one-page comparison, everything.
So E4, should that be the wooden poles?
No, we're, the only wooden poles for, Mr. Overby is proposal E. All of the other 4 subsets of proposals, those are all steel poles.
And I can give a brief, so like Mr. Foy said, proposal E is the wooden poles. Then you have E1, that is steel poles using the E-Power-On lighting, which was referenced in the engineering specs. Then you move to E2, that is a all-in-one from Musco. That includes Musco branded lights, Musco branded poles. Then you go to E3, this is Geosports all-in-one. This is their lights, their poles. And then finally you have E4, which are stick-built, which means he would purchase the poles separately, have them installed, and then put Geosport on top of those. Well, on top before he affix them to the ground. So yeah, E2 and E3 are pretty comparable in that they're both an all-in-one system. And then your E4 is purchasing it in portions, buy your poles, and then put your Geosport product. And does come with a lesser warranty, but the poles, I understand, would be pretty much ideal. Yeah, the exact same.
It's the exact same pole.
What would be the advantage or disadvantage of going with E3 or E4?
So,
With going with
so Geosports, stick built versus,
Geosport all-in-one.
yeah.
Yeah, I see that. It's a big difference in price.
Okay, Jimmy, so I'll answer your question. So you have a E3 and E4, you have a 25-year warranty. And on E4, you have a 10-year warranty. And your
Right.
10-year warranty only covers your fixture. We as a contractor, we give you a 1-year parts, labor, fixture, pole, the whole, everything warranty for the first year after it's installed and power's on and it's been aimed and accepted by the town of Stokesdale. So you'll have a 1-year warranty, and that warranty starts then. And then in 10 years, if we have a fixture failure, that fixture will be covered by Geosports and replaced.
Right. And the 25-year warranty.
And the other 25-year warranty, it is covered from day one of power up for 25 years.
Right.
So I'm sorry, I do
Go
have,
ahead.
The entire system.
Go ahead, Jim.
I do have one question. I understand all of these estimates and their differences.
Yeah, it
But
can be a
go-
bit confusing.
Going back to, A, B, and C and D, or A, B, and C, I know D was with wooden poles, but was A, B, and C with steel poles or? Oh, they were all wooden?
All wooden, yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now, those are somebody else's.
Yes, those are other vendors.
Yeah,
Okay, I just didn't see the actual bid in the package. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure that those were not, as we go down the line, that we're not getting back equal to some of those.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so what I wanted to do at first was A, B, C, D, and E. That is an apples to apples comparison of what we requested from contractors. When Ronaldo Electric came in pretty significantly lower than the rest, that triggered an additional meeting. That and some of the verbiage in the proposal, we were looking forward to meeting with Mr. Ronaldo and wanting to see what he was talking about with with Mr. Overby. And so, coming out of that meeting, we asked, hey, could you do a proposal for this and that, and some of the suggestions that we had. And he submitted those last week and thought that it would be a good time, to get together with the group here and let him discuss that. Because as y'all can imagine, I would have struggled next week without, at this meeting without Mr. Ronaldo here. It would have been very difficult.
So you,
Not Mr. Ronaldo, Mr.
Take
Overby.
in. Very-
so the Geo Sports, you like, I take you probably don't, you're not too, the Empower On, you don't like those? Yeah, it seems like there's problems.
He just said he didn't have experience with them.
I don't have experience with Empire On. I just know that, we're very close with a, lighting distributor in Winston-Salem. They used to sell Empire On. They dropped that line because there was so many defects, and they kept coming back. Now, it's been a couple years since they did that. And so he told me again that they would not pick that line up, but I could buy that line from another distributor.
Right. So the Musco and the Geo Sports, any advantages to one over the other? You might have already said it and it went over my head.
There are advantages to both. I would encourage, before you made a decision, to do pretty much try to decide on your lighting, is for me to send you a list of places nearby that you can go visit and see Musco's new fixture. High Point University is one of them. I just got through last year putting in some for their tennis courts. They're very, very similar.
You've got Parkland High School, am I correct?
Yes.
I think Musco, let's see, Musco, they had sent us a list too.
Well, they're different. These are all different brands that I have put in, but mostly Lithonia, Hubble.
Oh, okay, so these are not all
Musco's and Ephesus.
And there's two lists in there, Mayor Crawford. There's a list, I believe towards the front, that's gonna be the list of references that Mr. Overby shared with us. That's gonna be various different lighting brands, but then there's also a list attached with the Musco, warranty. And all of these are specific to North Carolina LED Musco projects. And so
Okay.
that's the one that I was looking at here. And I see there's some all over, so. Yeah, by Musco, yeah.
I just have one question. Do you use any subcontractors in this process on your end?
No,
Okay, so,
concrete and supplies. That's
right,
That's
but
the
you do
only-
the boring?
Yes, we do the boring.
Okay, very good.
Good question. Can you talk, we discussed maybe needing to upgrade to a 480 versus the 240 we have down there. So can you just talk about that?
So, Mr. Lackey had come up with the notion of running these lights with a 120, 240 volt service which is doable. The problem is when he went, I'm not talking bad about Mr. Lackey, but I went by code and I always double check my engineers because 9 times out of 10 they're wrong. So
Hard to hide all that
checked-
education.
I checked his calculations, and so the wire sizes kept increasing to larger, like, so one pole would get 1 alt cable. Okay, so if I have to directional drill 1.25 pipes and I pull 1 alt cable with the proper size grounding conductor, that's added cost to a single phase system. It's added cost to the labor that we're putting into it. It's added cost to the product. So what we did, what I requested from Robbie was to look into trying to get 3-phase service down there. So as I know, like I told you, one of the furthest one was 529 feet from the service through a directional drill bore. So that was what, there's 2 that are like that, and I think they're both 1 alt. So I can take a 3-phase service at 480 volts, and I can run number 10 wire, three wires in the ground, number 10 to that pole. That's a 1-inch conduit minimum, and 3 number 10s. That takes me about, set up and everything, 20 minutes.
What's it gonna cost us to go to 3-phase?
He knows the cost.
Well, so after speaking with Mr. Overby about this, I reached out to Duke Energy and spoke with their engineer, Michael Eanes, who is familiar with this location. He's actually the engineer that was in charge of removing the old power lines from the property that we purchased over here, the old Joyce property. And spoke with him about it, and he made didn't give me any figures for certain, but did speak to the process, said that it would not be a problem getting that additional service in here, upgrading it from 240 single phase to 480 3-phase. The cost would come from basically what the town would like to do. If you would like to underground bore and have those lines ran in underground as they currently are, there's a cost that comes with doing that underground boring. And the good news is, once it gets here, you would have the cost of adding a concrete pad for them to put a transformer on top of. Then the other option is to have overhead power ran in, which is not what's already here. I think it runs overhead down Angel Pardue, but not into the park. That is a no cost, but then once you get that overhead transformer to the park, you would have to pay for a CK cabinet, is that right? CT cabinet. There's a CT cabinet that would run from that overhead transformer down to the ground, and there's some costs associated with that. So, but the good news is, it sounds like even with the cost of underground boring, your material on the installation would almost offset the cost. Yeah, so there's definitely a benefit of upgrading the energy. It's just a matter of, do you want to do overhead cable, underground cable? I reached out to Mr. Eanes and asked for a cost proposal to run power, and I haven't gotten a response from him just yet. But that's all been recent, so this is all very recent.
Did Mr. Eanes, and I don't want to put you on the spot.
That's
but
okay.
Did he give you a swag estimate based off?
He said 10,000 and up. That was what he said for underground boring, 10,000 and up. He said you're looking at around 10,000 or more to do the underground boring. Excavation. Okay, that's it. Excavation. Yeah, just to put it under the ground. Yeah, trench it under the ground. Yeah.
So Mr. Overby submitted the additional proposals based off the 480.
Yes, I did.
Okay, and you have no preference whether we go overhead or underground or not, just as long as, or help me, you may.
Well, aesthetically pleasing, I would rather for you to go underground.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
But it doesn't matter to me either way. I have to put a concrete pad in for the underground, for the pad mount transformer.
Yep.
In the concrete pad, that's the pit pad
Yeah,
Or Duke transform.
Duke has their own little special way of, hey, we want a pit pad.
And they won't do it themselves either, they'll make you do
No,
it.
sir, they will not.
Yeah,
So,
they won't do it themselves.
we actually ordered that pit pad from Old Castle, and it depends on what size. I don't know what size service he's gonna say, hey, we're gonna put you a 500 kVA transformer down here, we're gonna put you a 125 kVA transformer down here. I don't know what future plans you may have. If this is the only soccer you're gonna do, then fine, go with the small pit pad. Small pit pad, I think there's $1,000 difference in a small and a large. And still, delivery is still, I think it was, what I tell you, $560 or
That's right.
$580 for delivery.
Okay.
And then we gotta dig the hole and set the pad, make it level.
Why wouldn't this be poured? This pad you're talking about?
We've tried to pour them before, and it takes about 2 days to get the darn thing poured, cause you have to pour them in pieces.
Okay.
Cause you gotta dig a hole so they can get their underground lines in, so you have to box it out. So once that's boxed out, and then you have to pour in the rest of the, you have to build the rest of the pad. So if you weigh the cost of your labor that you're putting into trying to build the darn thing, you're better off just to buying it.
Wow.
Good.
It's my understanding, the variable right now is whatever, this going to 480 is gonna cost us. Am I correct, or?
We do not know that cost. We know,
Okay.
we have the different proposals. We do not know that cost, and Robbie was given an estimate of 10 and up.
What do we,
But,
We can get a Boy Scout project to do that.
yeah,
Put a little wooden box and,
yeah.
what do we have to put into this project? Do we have this covered financially?
We do.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's, the question will be, what do we want left over? What do we still need to do after that? I'll share with you, we talked about this, up here. We're considering a fence around the soccer fields as well. And I was gonna ask you the question, would you or any potential contractor prefer we wait until this is done to put the fence in, or does it matter to you?
For sure.
Oh, okay. Okay,
That's a
yeah,
no-brainer.
Yeah.
yeah.
Easier to get around.
And please be reminded that if you do put the project in, make sure that you get whoever does it to come back and locate the lines.
Yeah, absolutely, so they don't dig through.
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
And
that
bust it.
happens a lot.
Oh, yeah,
I am sure.
it happens a lot.
Would you need to be doing any of the work that you may be doing in the future, whether it's warranty or whatever it may be? You're gonna need to be doing it from the field versus doing it from off the field. If you're gonna be doing it, the question is, if you're gonna be doing it from the field, we're gonna have to have an opening large enough to get the vehicle through the opening.
well, I think when we put the poles, did we discuss putting the fence inside the poles?
That's one thing that's still open-ended, so what do you typically see, is the fence surrounding the poles, or the poles?
I see it both ways, as far as, soccer. I don't see a lot of fence, but in some cases you need it for the goalie,
Gotcha,
goal in,
gotcha.
because that ball.
But it still doesn't change my question. My question is, will you be doing work from the field or behind the fixture itself?
Tennis courts are inside, baseballs are outside the fence.
Okay.
I guess it just depends on whether
It
or
just
not
dep-
where we put the fence.
It's kind of a preference on a soccer on what you wanna do.
Okay.
But we will have to, if anybody has to get back on the field, they need a means of travel to get back around to these 70 and 80-foot fields.
Yeah,
What size gate would you suggest on the field?
A minimum of 12 foot.
okay. All right. I think when we talked about those a few months ago,
2 6s will do it.
yeah, that'll work just fine, 2 6 foot. I think we had maybe said 10, but we can certainly up that to 12.
It depends on how tall you put it.
That's a good point, I think, yeah, that's a good point too. What did we say, 4? I think around 4 feet.
And you have irrigation on your fields too.
We do.
So, anytime that, this is just
Yeah.
for future, remember to cut the daggone fields off
Yeah.
for a week or something
Yeah.
before somebody decides to travel on your fields.
Good point. That's a good point.
To answer a question that was asked, how much money do we have? I think it's in the 465, 70 range.
Correct.
But if you could check that management tool and maybe get back to us. Guys, do any of y'all have any questions, further questions? T. Stevenson has played an instrumental part, you know, in our entire park improvement process, and he's also our Park Improvement Committee chairperson. T, I want to give you an opportunity to ask any questions you think that we may have missed or some points.
I think you've covered it very well, Mr. Foy, and I think that Ms. Rotary has given us some really good options to consider. It's just a matter of, you know, sitting down and discussing which would be best for this particular application and what we can afford.
Good. Mr. Overby, can you think of any questions or answers to questions that we may not have even been smart enough to ask? You know, just to kind of, you know, I was interested in how the process will go. You know, maybe we can talk about, like, we wouldn't want to do this in the middle of soccer season. Is that
No,
would,
you
that would be a
wouldn't.
challenge?
That's just a liability hole right there. So, I mean, you could close off part of the field and, you know, sectionalize as much as possible if need be. But no, I wouldn't want to put it in. My ideal time to put it in is during the summer, when it's nice and dry. But getting back to your previous question, like I said, is just let me get you some places to look at that
Okay.
Musco's put in, and from what Geosports has put in.
Okay, good.
You'll see a huge difference in the lighting. So with the Geosport system, it's basically like you're sitting in a football stadium 5 years ago, where they don't have LED lights. Okay, with the Geosport system.
But those are LED though, right?
Yeah, they're
Okay,
LED.
okay.
But it's the same thing. You're still shooting light down, and you still have, they call it glare control, which is some kind of protectant, or film or something that they put on the lenses themselves to try to reduce the glare to the human eye. Musco is different in how they put their fixtures in, and they look dim. But what Musco does is, say you have this is your front of your fixture that's shooting light out here. So what Musco does is about the middle of this fixture, they will take, and this is where their LEDs are, and they shoot back this way to a reflector or a mirror. It's about mirrored is what it is. And then they shoot it out this way.
Wow.
And so it's not as glared as, it's a little easier on eyes. Let's just put it that way. Now, whether it's worth $30,000-$40,000 worth of easy for 2 or 3 hours of gameplay, but you got to remember, these poles are 70 foot in the air. You're sitting here watching kids or adults play soccer at this level, or at the 20-foot level, whether you're on the stands or whatever. The lights may never bother you at all if you're looking at a Geosports. And I definitely know that Musco, they won't bother you either. And in both cases, we have to get a certification from each or an independent independent person that says, hey, we have put 50-foot candles average along your field of play. And so that will be submitted and approved by you guys,
Okay,
because that's what you're asking for.
okay, good. Now, we don't issue any permits. See, that would all go through Guilford County. You mentioned permitted earlier. Yeah.
And I will add,
How long from, let's say, start to finish with this, do you think this would take without any weather interruptions?
Well, once someone is awarded the project, and all the paperwork, contracts and everything's been signed, from that point on, we would place the order for the project. And again, it depends on where the manufacturer stands as far as parts and materials and how backed up they are as far as orders. But typically, I've never seen them go over 8 weeks.
Well, let me rephrase that. Once you get all that and you're ready to come out here and start, how long on the ground would it take?
To get them in the air, I'd probably have them in the air in a week.
Okay, just because I'm thinking, just something to think about long term. I think we may want to consider closing the park off because we can't close the fields off. We don't have the ability to close them off because there's open space.
Yes.
So just something we may want to be thinking about in the short term is how can we control access back to that? Because you don't want somebody walking around out there with their dog and something happen or they stumble onto the pit or trench or, just something to think about that we may want to
You're
consider.
talking about during the construction
During the
phase?
construction phase. Because this is a little bit different than the basketball courts. This is a little bit more of I'm sure you're gonna have a crane out here and all that.
There'll be no cranes.
You're gonna lift them up, we're gonna do the old.
We have a digger, Derek, that grabs them and sticks them in the air.
Wow.
So there's no cranes. We don't want to put 100,000 pounds out there.
I don't want either. But I'm just worried about, we would have, since it is open, we don't have access, we don't have a fence
So
up.
we could put construction fence, the orange temporary fencing up all the way around.
That'd be good.
With T-posts, to keep everybody out during the week that we're putting stuff up.
The boreholes would be the biggest concern. So once you bore a hole, do you fill it immediately?
Well, we can either cover it with plywood, number one, and by OSHA standards, we have to put right on their hole, H-O-L-E. So we have to do those. If we cannot, say it comes up all of a sudden thunderstorm, we have to cover that hole. Good. Be back the next day, hopefully not full of water. If it is, we'll pump it out and keep on going.
Good.
But like I said, in a week's time, we should have, if we can go ahead and get the preliminary, we or anybody else can get the preliminary stuff done, in 1 week, they should be able to have the poles in the air. Because you don't have that many.
So I'll throw a hypothetical out. The soccer season starts, first week of March. If, call it by third week of October, if, there was a contract in place, is it reasonable or realistic to think this could be in place for the spring soccer season?
I would say that you probably could have them here. You just have a lot of holidays during that time and a lot of plants closed 2 weeks.
Yep.
During those periods of holidays. But I would say at least by January 2nd, 3rd, 4th, products should be here. I mean, I'm just speculating right now because it's just a rough time of year to try and install stuff because
You got weather too.
depends on what kind of weather. That's what I'm getting around to.
Yeah.
What kind of weather we're having. If it's snow and ice, which I doubt, or just a lot of rain, that affects the fields a lot.
Sure. Absolutely.
And as we discussed before, we wouldn't get on the field with concrete or have a concrete truck get on the field. We would put that in concrete buggies,
Okay.
but they're tracked. They're not wheeled.
Okay.
They're tracked.
Good.
Two things I'll add while I was thinking about it. One, as far as going out on the field, we'll just need to work with whoever does it. We need to make sure there is a drainage system that runs under that field. And so we'll, make sure that we've got all the plans for what's going on under that field, including the irrigation. And then the only other thing when you were talking about getting permits, Mr. Snyder, he couldn't be here tonight, but he did want me to pass one thing along, and that he wanted me to remind everyone that per the Stokesdale ordinance, outdoor lighting structures shall be located, angled, shielded, or limited in intensity so as to cast no direct light upon adjacent property and to avoid creation of a visual safety hazard to passing motorists. So you just wanted me to pass that along to everybody. Doesn't necessarily change anything, but it is what the ordinance says. Yeah, we're good. Nope, we're not, just, no roads back there,
Yeah.
just parking lot.
Well, I mean, I know the next door neighbor is a real pain in the rear. So
Yeah, yeah.
gotta watch out for that guy. Well, good.
Yeah, that question's also been posed to me a couple times about spill lighting
Sure.
Well, I figure where they're angled
from a lot of other folks.
Come on, Ben.
I figure where it's angled down, that probably takes away a lot of it.
And Robbie, do you have that figure?
Yes, so, the most up-to-date figure that I have, this includes what's left of the original ARPA fund as well as you want what's left of that include, and the state
Yes, sir.
grant that we received. I'm coming out to 466,580.
All right.
That number came from the most recent grant management table that I have that Ms. Thacker's put together. And that includes what's left of the original ARPA fund and then also of the state grant fund that we received from the state budget from the General Assembly.
Thank you, Robbie. That's good. Mr. T,
Yep, I did have one other question, Mr. Overby. With regard to operation, in comparison with the Musco in the
Sports?
there was a small difference, I think, because of I guess the number of fixtures is different between the two systems, but also from a electrical consumption standpoint, which would be more economical to operate.
If memory serves me correctly, the Geosports system is 77,000 kilowatts, 77,000 watts, and Musco's is 66,000 watts.
I think that's the numbers I remembered seeing.
So-
We're pretty close to that.
I think, and Mike Torrance is the guy's name that owns Torrance Sports Lighting, and he's the seller of this Geosports systems. He, in his quote, I think he's still trying to do 3 fields.
Okay.
He is doing 3 fields, but he's trying to do 3 fields independently. Whereas Musco said, hey, we're only doing 2. In other words, we turn all the lights on and that's what you get. So it's either this field or both, and you're covered in the middle.
well, and that makes sense. You only can play 2 fields at one time.
And basically, what she is saying is that, what Dina engineers are telling her that, hey, we may have two fixtures over here and 4 over here that's not needed, but it's not economical even to shut them off.
Okay. Good.
That just adds more cost to their contactor cabinet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
That's all I had.
Good. One more question, and we've already touched on this, but for the 2 Geosports, one is 25 years warranty, and
That's
it's the
correct.
entire system.
Yes, sir.
The other is 10-year warranty, and that covers the fixture.
That is only the fixture, that is correct.
So could you clarify more what that means, entire system versus fixture?
Entire system means, from everything that they send me from the manufacturing plant that I install, from the structural steel all the way to the wire, to the plug-ins, to the fuses, to the drivers, to the LED lenses, everything is covered. There is nothing from finished grade up that is not covered under a 25-year warranty.
If we have a problem for 25 years, it's covered.
It's covered.
So there's no
Hey,
additional cost.
And you're paying for it already in this right here.
Yes.
Yeah, well, we got a unique situation where we need to.
Yeah, that's very unique. No, that's good. Now, just to clarify though, we would still need to pay you to come out and do that work. in that 25-year period.
No. Musco will either hire me to come out here and do it, or they'll come do it themselves.
This
At
is
no
Geosports.
cost.
I'm using the example here.
At Geosports, they may send somebody from their company.
So that 25 years, that covers the labor too for G? Oh,
Labor, bucket truck, whatever it takes to get up there, you just gotta give them access.
no, I'm glad. I think these guys have picked up on that. I'm not as quick as they are, but thank you for clarifying that. That's
Yeah,
actually,
That's parts and labor. Now, y'all could double check me, he's got both the Geosports warranty here and the Musco warranty here, and y'all can read both of those, when you have a little free time this weekend.
They're lengthy, but they are excellent. Absolutely.
well,
And
that's not, I mean,
I have not reviewed them, I just know from what I've done in the past, and they were accepted.
right. Well,
I hadn't had to go back on them.
I share a tremendous amount of gratitude for you coming out here, late on a Wednesday night, especially when you're heading to the western part of the state and with some folks that really need your service.
5 o'clock in the morning.
Yep. And, I don't know if there's no further questions, Mr. Mayor.
I do have one quick,
Yep.
just to
Go
clarify.
ahead, buddy.
So I was looking, I see in the Musco pamphlet, it has the phone app and the ability to, Geosports have a similar, platform?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just didn't see it.
I can get you some more information on that.
Now, I noted the SkyLogic's remote control system as an add-on for the stick-built Geosports. Is that an add-on for,
No.
it's included in that?
Stick built is an yes, that is a adder
Okay,
for that system, for you to have the ability to turn that on and off. And it's included, what I say, 5 years?
Yeah, that's right.
5 years, and then after that, you pay for the service by the year.
okay. But for the non-stick built for Geosports,
It's included
it's included,
for 25 years.
oh,
Same as Musco's included for 25 years.
Okay.
thank you for that question, Jim.
So I guess the big difference is, for the stick built, since we're providing the poles and adding the Geosport lights, then we'd also have to add the system to run those lights.
To turn, if you want the capability to turn them off or on, and then I did fall back to what, the engineer had said about the Wi-Fi and the intermatic system. I didn't exactly know what he was, I know what it is, but I've never used it, so I don't know much about that.
Well, I found this very informative.
Found it.
What does Rule Hall have at their baseball fields? Do you know? Is it Muscat?
Well, Frank James, when I tried to get him to do something, he said, we don't want to be in the business of ball field maintenance.
Gotcha.
He says, but he's retired.
Yeah, that's right.
And, he basically, we have seniors,
Yeah.
senior ball,
Yeah, they go out there and
and
play.
they love it. And we've already, I told them the other day, they had a pole or two or something was out, it blown a fuse, they couldn't figure out why it had a fire. And, I said, you need to get rid of them poles,
Gotcha.
and they're wood.
They're old wooden poles.
Yes, I said, they're way overdue, they got,
It did seem like Jason had the capability to
Yeah.
control them with his phone though, but I figured they were.
no, Jason has no
Oh,
capability.
really? He has to go up there. and
He
do it?
has to go out there and set the time clock every day. Come on, come on.
Okay.
That would be okay here except on Fridays, wouldn't it, Robbie?
Well,
Robbie doesn't work on Fridays.
Robbie does work on
No, he doesn't
Fridays.
either.
Town hall is not open on
Sir,
Friday.
sir, Robbie,
Listen, I caught him out here trimming our dad blame bushes on a Friday.
Saturday.
Saturday.
check his insurance?
Yeah.
Was it Saturday I came by?
Saturday.
You ever work on
Excuse me.
I was gonna do it
Saturday.
Friday, but I was too busy at town hall, so I had to wait until Saturday.
On his day off.
Oh, yeah. 40 hours a week is all we want to
I
have.
found this to be very informative. I know we met in there, but, I was hearing a bunch of things and absorbing it, but hearing it again 2 times was really beneficial to me, and I certainly hope it was to these guys.
Oh, yeah, yep.
So,
Well, if you have any questions, you can, call me, email me. Robbie's got my email. I will not be available next week. I'll be back the 14th.
okay.
So anytime after the 14th, I'll be available to answer any of your questions, or you can call the manufacturer, rep direct. I can give you their phone numbers if you need it. And you can talk to either one of those guys.
You're gonna provide us a couple of locations we can go
And
take a look, please.
I will do that, yes.
Wonderful.
So just to help that process, Musco is at Northwest Guilford on the football field. So, and Grimsley as well. So if you wanna come out, we're playing at home Friday night. If you wanna come out to the football game.
Friday
That'd be
night,
an easy way for you to see them.
Was Grimsley the old system or the new system?
It's new as well.
Okay.
They actually got theirs right before we got ours. So, but, so yeah. And
Are they, they're flat and kind of.
Yes.
Look like shoebox up there, big old shoebox. Okay, that's them.
We're gonna hold this still.
That's them.
We're gonna hold this till later.
Yeah,
Sir?
I'd like to, but
Yeah, I thought I submitted some places that Geosports had, been used, but I'll have, it's probably in one of my emails and I just forgot to send it.
Ron, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank you for
Ron.
your time.
Thank you, Mr. Otis. Thank you.
I'll get those, I'll email those locations. I'll find them.
We're gonna open the floor for public comments.
safe travels, Ron.
I can leave now, right?
You can leave. Thank you so much.
Any good, bad, and different comments for, or against anything we've discussed or you want to discuss? Okay. Council comments. Mr. Rigsby,
I have no comments.
Mr. Foy,
No, sir.
Mr. Landreth.
Good.
Well, other than admonishing our newly appointed administrator and longstanding town clerk for being outside on a weekend doing our bushes,
Yeah,
I'm done.
You're talking about
Mike,
Sir,
he's
you're
fired
talking
up.
about Sir Robbie of Stokesdale?
he's back. Mike, it's good to see you back, bud.
I'm glad to be back. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
You do, sir.
Adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Rigsby?
Aye.
Mr. Foy? Mr. Landreth?
Aye.
And I am aye. Thank you, folks. We appreciate it.
Oh, boy. Well, folks, it's been real. Well, I got to get home.